Hello and welcome to piano lesson number 18. Okay, so today is 777. What are you doing today on this apparently lucky day? I would actually like to go to New York City and check out all the big meet with all the YouTubers and stuff like that, but obviously I'm not loaded enough to travel all the way to New York and all that, as I'm sure a lot of other people are in the same boat. Anyway, so in this lesson I'm going to be talking about learning a new song. I got this idea from someone on YouTube named Get Me There, and then with a 1 at the end, so credit to you. Okay, so I thought this was a good video to make because I've done a lot of teaching on different theories and terms and techniques and stuff like that, but I haven't explained from start to finish what it takes to learn a song or not, and I'm sure that's why most of you are watching this, is to learn how to play a song, because no one's going to be like, hey man, look at how good my technique is, aren't you impressed? Oh yeah. You don't get up and play a C major scale in front of like a couple people and expect applause, really, unless you're teaching them how to play a C major scale. Okay, so I wrote this down actually, should probably look at it. Okay, so there's stages of looking at learning a song. It's not just simple, okay, here's the sheet music, learn the notes, and then you know the song. You go through stages, and actually there's different exercises you can use through different stages of learning the song that will actually help you learn it faster, more securely, and you'll be able to perform it better as well. So I'm going to go through those. The stages to learning a song, the first one is obviously, this should be extremely obvious, but I'm just going to say it anyway. You need to learn the notes. So you got to learn the notes first. So in order to do that, you're either going to have to sit beside someone that knows how to play the song and be like, okay, what key do I press now? Okay, and then the other one? Okay. And then try and remember it that way, or you can teach yourself to read sheet music, get lessons on reading sheet music, or maybe you're just born able to read sheet music. Maybe. I wasn't. Okay, so you get out your sheet music. That's what I'm just going to assume. You're going to learn it from sheet music. Get out your sheet music, and before you even start playing, don't even just open the book and be like, okay, first note. Not like that. Not a good idea. First thing you want to do, look closely at it. Take it right to your face and dissect the entire thing. Start from the beginning and go all the way down to the end of the song. So first look at maybe the right hand, all the notes, see how the rhythm's going, check out the phrases, so all those lines going over. Can't even remember if I ever taught about phrases. Man, I should have. Anyway, so you'll want to look over the time signature, the key signature, so what sharps and flats are going to be through the key, or the piece, so to tell you what key it's in. Look at the time signature, if it's a 2/4, is it a 3/4 waltz, is it a 4/4, is it like a sarabande or an arabesque or a sonata or a nocturne, what kind of piece is it? And if you are playing one type of piece and it's like, you're learning a nocturne, and you're like, what's a nocturne? You should probably go on the internet and Google or Wikipedia nocturne, and that'll give you an idea of what you need to do for that kind of a piece, because nocturnes are night pieces. They're kind of soft, romantic. They can be quick, but they're never really harsh, and they're not really big. They might have one little flashy passage go through, but it's not going to be like a huge marching waltz. Anyway, different topic. Okay, so you're going to see what type of piece it is, and then you're going to try and bring all that together, understand what you're going to be trying to learn, and if you can get a recording of it first, that's even better, so you can get an understanding of how it's going to sound. Then once you've done all that, then you need to, so you go through the sheet music and find out all the passages. Then if you see any rhythms that you don't think you'll really know how to play, say it's got a half note, and then it has 3 quarter notes, Alright, that wouldn't make sense. A half note, 2 quarter notes, and then the next bar it's got like a triplet quarter note with like some 16th notes in there and then a random like dotted 8th note. Now if you don't know how to play all that and you can't hear how it sounds, what you would probably want to do next is clap. Not at the piece or for yourself, but count, write down the counting in the actual score, like 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, if it's in 4/4. And get all the counting written into the music so that when you're playing it and you're clapping it, you'll know exactly when everything's coming down on beat. Okay, so get all the rhythms through and clap them so that you can clap them perfectly. So if you can clap them, you should be able to play them because you'll be able to feel it. And once you've clapped through that, then you should, then you have the rhythm and you don't think that there's any problems. Now the next part, you start learning the notes. So what you're going to do is, now I guess this is what I can bring the camera for. Now, if you see here, this is a Beethoven piece, the second movement of the Pathetique Sonata. It's a slower piece. It's quite slow actually. It's pretty famous too. So you'd be looking over your score. So first thing I would do if I was seeing this, I'd be like, okay, well here's my key signature here. There's 4 flats, so it's going to be in A flat major or, what would that be? F sharp minor. One of the two. Man, I can't remember. Okay, so F sharp minor or A flat major, but it's probably, I think if I remember correctly, it's an A flat? Yeah, it's an A flat major. Anyway, so you figure out your key, and if you don't know how to figure out a key, you find a circle of fifths. I was teaching about that before, so if you don't know what a circle of fifths is, go back and find the lesson that I teach on circle of fifths, so just Google circle of fifths. Okay, so I would look at this and I'd be like, okay, so I can see that there's one voice going here, and then there's another one here in the middle, and then I see one bass voice here. Now you can see these things right here, those are called phrases. It's kind of like if a singer was like, oh, and then took a breath and it's just like, da, 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 or something. That's pretty much what a phrase is. It's like, kind of like a little melody, then a breath, and then a little melody, and then a breath, and then a little melody and a breath, somewhat. So under phrases you want all those notes joined, then at the end of the phrase lift with both your hands briefly, and then come down into these, connect these, go down into these, join all these up, lift up, down into these. Okay, so that's that. Look for phrases, what's going to be kind of like staccato. So first thing, learning the notes. So that would be it. Learn the notes. Go through the whole piece, count through it, dissect little passages. Now if you have some spot, like say right here, see this? This is a little funky. You've got an eighth note here, followed by 2 30-seconds, then a random trill with a 30-second, what is that? 1, 2, yeah. 2 30-seconds and then a 16th and blah 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 blah. So how you do this is you try and break it up. Now here you can see, if you can see that, it's a little fuzzy. I wish my camera had a better zoom or focus. Anyway, so this has a little turn sign. So really this would sound like, or and then something like that. Okay, so to learn a tricky part like that, you would break it up and do a little exercise that people like to call add a note. So say you're starting like here. So you're on the B. So then you'd play the B and then the E, A, and then B, A. Oh wait, sorry. Wow, I shouldn't try and read it off the camera display. Okay, so that's a G actually. So G, and then G, F, G, F, E flat, and then G, F, E flat, D natural. So what you're doing is you're taking the first note, then you're adding another note. So you're taking one note and then adding it, so forth. So by doing that, you're reinforcing like everything through the phrase, and you'll learn it really solidly, like guaranteed. If you can't learn a phrase really solidly with that, I'd be amazed. So that's a really, really helpful trick. Now another thing is if you're having trouble getting it steady, say you have some scale that you have to play, the best thing to do is use metronome. So once you've learned the notes, the next stage is getting everything steady. So you've gone through the whole piece, you know it all more or less, but then you've got little random gaps in places where you slow down or hesitate or stop and stuff like that. So the next goal is to try and get it steady. So to do that, you're going to have to do clapping, you're going to have to do metronome. So with metronome, go really, really slow. This is a metronome, by the way. You don't like the picture of my car? Yeah, that's sexy. Okay, so you'll just put it on, whatever. Put it to the beat that you need. Have it little ticking back and forth. You're getting sleepy, very sleepy. Okay. Anyway, so you take the clicking and then you'd play to whatever pulse it's at. Most pieces will have a little tempo marking like 121 equals, and then they'll have a quarter note. And then that means that if you set it to 121, every click will be one quarter note. So if this was, it would be like click, 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 or click, 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 like that. Okay. So learning the notes is not, or learning the notes, then getting the tempo, getting steadiness. So once you get the steadiness going and you can play the whole piece fluently without any gaps or stops, and then also making sure that like even notes like this aren't jumping back and forth like they're just going to nice and steady. So they're not bumping forward fast and then going slow again. You want everything nice, steady, 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 steady. Nice and controlled. So once you have everything controlled, then you're going to have to add in the dynamics. So adding dynamics will depend on what era of piece you're learning. But I'll just assume you're going to learn an era that is later than the Baroque period, so that they have dynamics written in. So in this, they've got like P, which stands for piano, which means soft. So they want it soft. And then you'll use kind of like the phrases here to add in little tiny dynamics as well. So you can do what's called shaping. So now in this, the piece starts out with oh wait. Anyway, that was a really horrible performance, if you want to even call it that. But, okay. So shaping is kind of like right here. It's now it does, even though it just says piano throughout, in little parts where it's raising and lowering, you want to kind of give it a body to it. So as it's getting higher, you can make it a little bit louder, and then drop down. And then it's getting high, a little bit higher, so, and then, I just gotta laugh at my horrible performance there. Okay, so if you can understand that, shaping doesn't always mean that higher is louder. It could mean that lower is louder and higher is softer. Okay, so dynamics and phrasing are about two different things. Dynamics are like the loudness and everything, and then phrasing is like your touch. It's like legato here, left, legato, left, come down, legato up, left, come down. So you're separating, joining. Now, like, see here, they've got a little staccato notes coming down, but it's all joined, so it means that they want it to sound together, but they want it a little detached. So it's kind of, in a way, contradicting itself, but it's showing you what the intention of it is. So, and then also, a good rule in general is you want higher notes to stand out more than than the middle notes. So if I was playing this, see how there's these notes coming up here, that's one voice, and then another one is these two notes getting repeated here, and then we've got our bass down here. Now even though it says P, P, that means that they just want it quiet, but it means that you can have other notes standing out a bit more. So here, this is the most interesting line, these upper notes. So you'd bring out the top line, then you would mask this because it's very kind of in the background, it's just do, 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 do. And then the bass is kind of like an ambiance of resonance that's kind of sitting in the back. So you'd want to bring out the bass and then the soprano. And then alto and tenor just kind of get left out. Okay, so bring out the soprano, bring out the bass, and then this would be nice and soft. Kind of like it's ghosting it. So you'd just be going really softly, and then you'd be kind of like bringing out the top fingering with that. Okay, so once you've got all the articulations down, you might need to research the piece, listen to it, figure out how other people played it, stuff like that. Then once you've got articulation down, then you've learnt most of the piece basically. The last thing to do is memorizing it. And memorizing can actually be pretty tough. So to memorize a piece, you have to memorize all the notes, you have to memorize all the phrasing, you have to memorize all the dynamics, you have to memorize the steadiness, tempo, although those don't really get memorized, but you need to memorize a lot of things. A lot of different, like you basically need to memorize how your arm is going to move, you need to memorize how it's going to feel, how it sounds. Now, easiest way to do it is how I memorize my pieces. Where's it? Is this one? Yeah. Okay, I think the other. Can't remember where it was. Anyway, with some of my pieces that are hard to memorize, like Bach's fugues and stuff like that, we have little memory spots. I don't think they wrote them down here, but I have them in my head. So what I'll do is, when I'm trying to memorize it, what I'll do is I'll look over this thing, I'll play it through once. So my memory spot actually goes down to here. So it's these 2 lines and a half. And I picked that spot because this is kind of like a new area coming in. So you pick obvious areas. You don't just pick random spots, you pick areas that stand out. So you'll go from here down to here. And you'll play it through once with the music, then take the book away from yourself. Try playing through it, because you just played it with the book. You should kind of remember it a little bit. And then if you can play it without the book, play it again without the book. Play it again without the book. See how many times you can do that until you feel very confident. And then move on to the next memory area. And then start playing from this spot. So you can have little check marks and stuff like that, or colors that go along. Now, then you'll just label them like memory spot 1 or 1, 2, and then it's usually good to have about 2 to 3 memory spots per page. And you always put a memory spot where it's going to be like starting something. So if you're performing and then randomly you're like, oh no, I forgot everything I learned, and you just have a complete blank and you just stop, then you can just be like, okay, start from memory spot 2, and then you just start from there, or start from wherever you're really close to. So if you ever mess up, just jump ahead to wherever your memory spot is. Oh, I actually do have them written in there with these little lines. Anyway, so jump ahead. Never, ever, ever. If you, like, say, messed up here, don't go back and start from here if your memory spot. So if I'm playing along, and then I get to here, and then I mess up and I blank out, I would just jump to here, right there, my next memory spot. Never go back, because people can tell when you're going back. Ah, my cell phone's ringing. So make sure you jump ahead in the memory spots. Jump to a memory spot ahead, jump to a memory spot ahead, or just jump ahead. If you feel like you're going to mess up, then just skip ahead and think forward. Always think forward in music. Just like you'd never play a song backwards, you'd never jump backwards and start over. That's a mistake a lot of people make. Okay, and then once you've got the piece all set up and it's all going properly or whatever, then you have to sustain it, and that can actually be a lot of practice in itself. So to sustain a steady tempo, you're going to have to do something called like a slow and fast metronome speed. So basically you get your fast metronome speed would be whatever you played at normally. So say you're just like da 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 da, whatever, you're playing at that speed. So you figure out what that metronome beat is. So say that was like 120. Okay? So say it was 120, even though this piece I know isn't at 120, but I can't remember it. So say it's at 120 and this is your regular pace. Then what you'll have to do is every day you'll have to lower yourself down to like 100 or maybe 80 even, and then play the whole piece through really, really, really slowly, because what happens is if you just play the same speed all the time, then your hands start to go on autopilot, and which might sound good, but then what happens is because you're not thinking about what you're doing, then you're basically not even playing it. So it's like your memory actually slips, and then you start making mistakes and you start getting lazy, and then basically the entire piece just degrades rapidly, quite rapidly actually. So, and the other way, if you play one slow and one fast, two different tempos, at the slow speed you're thinking about every note you play, you have to hold yourself back. It's actually hard to play slower than it is faster at that point. So you play slower, and that way when you're going through you can think of all the dynamics you want to bring out, fix all the phrasing and everything, and then you go through and then you just let yourself play it at a higher speed. So actually just playing the piece itself at a high speed and just letting it flow doesn't actually help you much at all. It actually makes it worse probably. Okay, so now if you've got problems playing like one little section that would be just like, or something like that. I don't know, I just made it up. If you're having problems, what you can do is something called like an alternate beat. So that would be going like, or something like that. And what you're doing is you're playing one slow and one fast. It's actually this pattern. Even though it would normally be like quarter, 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 what you're doing is you're playing one long and one quick, one long and one quick. Or you can reverse it, so you can do like the quick one would be in front and the long one would be at the end, so you're going like something like that. So usually what I would do is do both of them. You do like the slow one first, slow first, quick later, and then you do like the quick slow one. So you like that. It doesn't have to be that fast. You can be like, or whatever. It can be even like this slow. Or slower, but I'm not going to waste my time. Okay, so I hope that answers a lot of questions. Hope that helps you. So just remember those stages. Learn the notes, learn the tempo, so that means getting it steady and stuff like that. Once you've learned all that, then learn the dynamics, the phrasing, get your interpretation down of the piece, figure out, kind of make a story up of how you want the piece to sound. Create a picture in your mind, and then memorize it. So you can play it without a book. You can just sit down at any piano and do it. Okay. That should be about it. I'm sorry that it took a little while for me to make this video. Basically a couple things happened. One, I got engaged to my fiance now. So we're going to get married probably June 2009 or something like that. I proposed to her at the piano and everything. It was funny. I wrote a piece for her and she was so shocked it wasn't even funny, but obviously we all know what she said. So I feel like a pretty lucky guy in that respect. Other things, I got really sick. I had a throat infection that spread to both my ears, and then I was on like some type of antibiotic, and then I got an allergic reaction and had some rash, and all these things happened to me. So then they had to take me off that, and my skin was starting to peel and stuff, and I didn't really feel like coming on camera and being like, "Hey guys," and then my skin just like and falls off my face. I didn't think that'd be too hot. So yeah, I got off that. I'm feeling pretty good now, and yeah. Okay, so I actually might even just make another video tomorrow because I'm feeling in a pretty good mood, and I think I should have the time tomorrow to do it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any more questions, any more ideas for different lessons, feel free to post. And yeah, that's about it. Take care.